Good morning, everybody. I'm Pam from Old Hippie Homesteaders. Hope you're having a beautiful Thursday, early afternoon. I picked up a couple of these marked down. They're beef chuck steak, boneless. Both of them are. They were originally $13.52 and $13.03, and they're both marked down. So what my plan is, I'm going to cut them all up. I par cook the beef when I can it. I just like the taste of it better. You guys don't need to cook it if you don't want to, but I'm going to par cook it. I'm going to add a bunch of spices and garlic, and I'm going to mark the jars for a chili mix or a stew, something like that. So stay with me here. Wow, look at these nice, oh my gosh, these are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Look at that and the marbling. Oh my, these are some nice steaks. Like I said, I got them at Winco and they were marked down. I love going to Winco because of their marked down meats. That's the only way we can afford it, is if I get it marked down. So, oh, I can't believe, look how beautiful that is. Now, I'm going to be taking some of the fat out, some of the thicker areas, but I'm going to be leaving a lot of it because that's where the flavor is when you go to do your soups or your stews or your chilies. So let me get this cut up a little bit and I'll get it going in my pan here. Okay, so I have a little bit of it cut up so far. I like cutting it into just like bite-sized little pieces. See, I've left the fat, I've left a lot of the fat on. You don't want to remove all of it, but I did take these pieces out here. Okay. Okay, so I have just a dab of extra virgin olive oil. You don't want to have a lot of fat when you can your meat, but I've got just a little in here. I coated the pan just so, it wouldn't stick or anything. Put it in. Okay, so here's the first package. Got most of the fat off, but not all of it. I added some minced garlic. I added a lot of my homemade celery powder, and I added some sea salt. Now here's the fat that's left over. Now you can do this, you can throw it away, or you can put it, I like to put it in a baggie and keep it in my freezer so I can make tallow. Or we've also just given it to our chickens. Chickens love fat, and it's good for them too. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this or I'm going to give it to the chickens. So here's the second package. This package here, I think I'm going to do a little Mexican flair with it. The spices, I'm talking about the spices. Okay, so this meat I'm going to be putting into a quart jar. Now when you cook your meat, you have to add liquid to the jar. If you put your meat raw into the jar, you don't add any liquid. It's the same with fish. If you just put raw fish into the jar, you don't need to add any liquid. Chicken's the same way. It makes its own liquid. So I'm going to be putting this into the jar. And then putting all the liquid that's in the pan, that's going to be going in the jar too. See that? So it's not all the way cooked. It's a little bit pink. I like the taste of it a little better. Okay, so what I did, everything that was in the pan went into this jar, including all the liquid. The liquid goes up to here. So this was one package. So this package here, when it's cooked down and the fat is taken off, it fits into a quart jar. Now, normally for the two of us, I use a pint jar, but this could be 2 meals, and I'm running out of pint jars, so I just have to know when I open this up, this is going to contain 2 meals. So you see how the liquid is right here? Now you can use beef broth, vegetable broth, you can use any kind of broth that you like. I'm just going to cover it with water. Just like that, up to the rim. See that? Okay. Now that one jar is done. I'm going to set it back here. Now I'm going to start on the second one, and that's going to be more of a fajita dinner, a little bit more spice into it. Okay, so I have the second one all cut up. So for this, I'm going to be adding some cumin, some paprika, more garlic, and some onion powder. I might even add a touch of peppers, red pepper. So here's the cumin. And I kind of use a lot of it. It dissipates once you start cooking your whole meal, whatever you're going to do, whatever you're going to add to it. And remember to mark your jars so you know which is which. Okay, so here's the paprika. And the onion powder. And the garlic. I use a lot of garlic with my stuff. Okay, and you want to stir that all up. Now I didn't have to add any oil to this pan because there was just a touch left. So all this liquid is just from the meat. Okay. You can put in bell peppers if you want to make this fajita. You can put in, dried bell peppers, frozen bell peppers, whatever you want. I think I might add a few bell peppers into this. Okay, so I've got some freeze-dried bell peppers. See that? I'll throw a couple in there. Let's see, let me grab some green ones too. There we go. Okay. You can put dried onions, all kinds of stuff. So let me go get some onions. Okay, so here's some freeze-dried onions. Hear that sound? Put a little bit more in. Okay. So I'm just going to let this get all incorporated. And then this is going to be going in a quart jar as well. Okay, so I turned the fire off. I'm going to put it in another quart jar. So guys, if you do not know how to pressure can, that's okay. You can cook this up, then you let it cool, and you put it in like a Ziploc baggie. You push all the air out of it, and you flatten that bag. You make it flat. That way you can stack more meal preps on top of each other. And make sure you mark the bag, what it is, and make sure you date it. You can even put down what kind of beef this is. If it was, prime rib or whatever the heck, But you don't have to freak out about not knowing how to pressure can or not having the money to even buy a pressure canner and then learn. You don't have to. I do it because we lose power a lot up here. And instead of worrying about my freezer being full, I know this is shelf stable. So anyway, you can put it in a Ziploc bag. Don't worry about that. So let me get this in the jar so I don't spill it everywhere. Okay, so the same way I did the other one. See, now this one only has a little bit of the juice. So I'm going to be needing to add more water. Now, when you cannot mark your seals, you can't put the dates and anything on them before you put them in the pressure canner because the hot water makes the ink come off. But I will know which jar is which because I can see the bell peppers, and there's no bell peppers in that. So I'm going to be adding the liquid. Now, like I said before, it can be beef bouillon that you've made up. It can be vegetable broth, whatever you want to use, okay? So I'm just going to use water. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit more till it gets to this line. Okay, so I'm sorry, the color's kind of bad. I've got sun coming in the window here. So I have a little bit of vinegar on my paper towel, and you're going to wipe the rim off. You don't want any meat grease or any juice or anything, okay? Because you won't get a seal. So you wipe off the rim. I even do around the rim. Then you put your seal on. Okay, so I'm going to put the seal on. Now I'm out of my 4 jars seals. I have to use ball, and I'm not happy about this because lately a lot of the ball seals are not holding. That's why I've switched to 4 jars. You're going to put your ring on, finger tight, not King Kong tight, okay, guys? Now, this is really important. When you go to put them in your pressure canner, the water in my pressure canner is cold. These are still warm. I'm going to let these sit out to get room temperature. You don't want to put hot jars in a cold pressure canner because they will burst. You don't want to have hot water and then put cold jars in either. You want to have the temperature the same as the jars as inside the pressure canner. So I'm going to set these out here for about 10 minutes. They'll be totally fine. I'm going to let them get acclimated to the temperature. I'm going to clean up my mess. I'm going to take the beef fat. I'm going to take it and I'm going to feed it to my chickens. They're extra cold this morning, so this will help them keep a little bit warmer. Normally, I would save it and make my own tallow, but today I'm giving it to my chickens. So I'm going to get this all cleaned up. By the time I come back in, these should be ready for the pressure canner. Okay, so when you go to pressure can, you want to do 75 minutes for pints and 90 minutes for quarts. Now, it's the same if the meat was raw. It would be the same amount of time, okay? So I have high elevation, so I'm going to be doing just under 15 pounds of pressure, and I'm going to be putting these in. I'm not going to show you how to pressure can. For those of you that watch this, you already probably know how. But I'm going to put these in, and I will be back when they're all done.